Hi, my name is Steven and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking to you about optimizing your day, getting more done in less time. So we all want to get more out of our day, but how do we actually do it? If you're like me, you don't want to waste time or spend time unproductively. You want to get the most out of your day. And when I'm talking about optimizing your day, I'm talking about productive days when you're working or you want to get something accomplished. I'm not talking about the days that you are resting or on vacation. So for me, I've gathered a lot of tips on optimizing my day over the last decade or so. And these were from different aspects of my life that I learned over time to be helpful in optimizing my overall day. So the tips and strategies I'm going to go over are guidelines. They're not meant to be followed religiously. Every person has their own style of doing things, but you might have to work through which of these tips will ultimately help you to optimize your day. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about why I optimize my days, tips and strategies on optimizing days, and also my general thoughts on the matter. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends, hit that notification bell if you like this content. And here we go. So let's first talk about why I optimize my days in the first place. So number one, be more productive. Getting more done in a day is one of the main reasons why I want to optimize my days. If you're able to complete tasks efficiently throughout the day, then you're off to a great start on being productive. For me, before I started optimizing my days, I would have days where I just didn't really have any goals or set things to do. Optimizing my day helps me to finish tasks quickly and efficiently. And it helps me stay ahead of the game when something unexpected happens. I know that I'll have extra time available to me because I finished my task for the day already. And also, if you don't optimize or plan out your day, there's a lot of inefficiencies throughout the day-to-day life. And there's always something to sap our energy or make us unfocused. And once you get a taste of optimization, you'll get better and better at it. And then it'll be easier for you to sustain going forward. Number two, have a plan for your day. One of the biggest keys of optimizing your day is having a plan for that day. I generally like to plan out my day-to-day activities so I know what's coming up before I need to do it. This helps me to organize and plan for future stuff so that I'm not thrown into chaos when something unexpected happens. Not only do I have something to look forward to with a plan in place, but it also helps me to keep organized so I know what's coming ahead before I need to start doing things. Because I'm optimizing my days to be productive, my entire week gets optimized in the process. And I'm also much more efficient from a week-to-week basis as well. So the only days that I really don't have a plan for are my rest days and my vacation days. And number three, it creates more days for rest. The best thing about optimizing my days and subsequent weeks is that I have more time for myself on the weekends. I plan and optimize my days so that I'm really doing a lot of work during the weekdays. This sometimes creates very stressful weekdays because I'm working from morning till night. But in the end, the reward is a free weekend where it's completely unstructured. Certain things that I know I could do during the weekends, I try to do during the weekdays. Usually administrative stuff, doing chores, or even seeing friends, I would push to the weekdays. Because then I can plan out longer events for the weekend for me, or I could do other stuff like relax and rejuvenate myself. Now, this isn't totally ideal. There's some times where I take breaks during the weekdays because I'm just burned out. And so sometimes I do some of the work during the weekends because my weekdays just spilled over. And in so optimizing your days, you can create space during the weekdays for you and then have uninterrupted sections of break during the weekends. So now let's talk about my tips on optimizing your day. Number one, plan your days. Have a vision of what your future day will look like. What I usually do is plan 2 or 3 big events during the day and then having 1 hour of separation break in between them. And if I don't have any big things to work on, I put multiple small events with about a 15-minute break in between those events. So my day would look like an 8-hour work shift followed by a 1-hour break and then a 2-hour lunch. So generally the idea is to not have idle time during the day. You always have something to do or a break that you built in. Each period can be slotted in by something that you can work on. For example, while you're eating, you can be taking a phone call. Or when you're walking, you can be reading a paper. Or when you're waiting in line, you can make a list of groceries. Just don't budget your time down to every minute or even every hour. It has to be free-flowing. The goal is to have a general list of things to do throughout the day. The day will naturally ebb and flow, so as long as you finish off your task, you've completed your plan for that day. Because your day might be too uncertain for you to plan out every minute of it. Number two, create buffer zones. Creating buffer zones is basically the act of creating some time where you're resting or you're waiting for something to happen. This is extra time that you're planning in throughout the day so that you can possibly recover from something that goes over time or something that unexpected would happen. This free time allows me to recover when things go wrong or I need extra time to do something else. So in general, large tasks I usually have an hour worth of buffer time, and small tasks I usually put 15 minutes as a buffer zone. Buffer zones that are sprinkled throughout your day is an excellent way to make sure you get the things that you need to do finished. Number 3, allow space to readjust. Things don't always go according to plan, and when they do happen, make sure that you're ready to change on the fly. So for example, a late cancellation or sudden influx of work, make sure you're ready to change on the fly if needed. Sometimes you just can't get to what you planned for the day, and that's okay. Be sure you recover by planning something out for the next day. Oftentimes when I'm going through a change of plans, I try to figure out what I can still do with that day, whether it's doing something else that's productive or I just commit to a rest day. It doesn't really work if you're at a job or you need to get something done immediately. But outside of a job, for example, a friend canceled on your plans, then take that time and either do something fun with it or do something that you had planned for another day. So you're making sure that you're always doing something to optimize that day even when plans change. And if you're suddenly overwhelmed with the amount of work that you have, try to break it down into urgent and important tasks, and then completing those first and then save the rest for a different day. In my previous video, I talked about the 4 quadrants of time management, and in it, I break down tasks according to urgency and importance. And that might help you to prioritize tasks when things get a little too chaotic. I'll put a link down in the description below so you can check it out. So in the end, be willing to change up your day and replan for later. Number 4, don't overcommit. You can pack your day with plenty of large and small events that you want to get done, but that's not always the best thing to do. I recommend you resist the urge of being uber productive each and every day. Not everything is so urgent and important that it needs to be done right away or in the next few days. When I was younger, I would often make the mistake of trying to pack as much as I can each and every day and act like it was the last day on earth. I overcommitted my days because I thought I could, and I thought I could have the energy to sustain that. But over time, it just dragged me down and I was burnt out. Because a lot of the things that I was doing had no sense of urgency to them. They were just things that needed to get done at some point. So when you plan out your days, try to space out everything that you need to do within different days. Don't all try to jam it into one specific day. And number 5, multitask when appropriate. So I only recommend multitasking when the performance of whatever you're doing isn't affected. So for example, calling a friend in a car, planning your day while eating lunch, or reading some documents on a treadmill. Generally, these are things that you're able to do while you're working on something important, and you're able to retain and absorb that important information. If you can't retain or absorb that information, then you shouldn't be multitasking. The key is to maintain focus for as long as you can on the important task, because doing multiple complex things stresses the brain. Because when your brain is stressed, it's hard to absorb and retain information. You might have to reread things, or you might have to process things a lot slower than you normally would. So generally, I'm not a fan of multitasking unless you're sure that you can do it without affecting your performance. So now let's talk about my general thoughts on optimizing your day. I usually give myself guidelines and not rules when it comes to optimizing my day. Because of the unpredictability of my day-to-day activities, there's no way I can set hard rules for myself. I just have to let the natural flow of my day dictate how I get things done. But as long as I'm able to complete all the things that I need to on the task list, I generally am okay with that day. The goal of an optimized day for me is to get that list of tasks and try to complete it as quickly as possible. How you structure that day is not as important as completing that list. So for example, I've had days where I've taken the entire morning off just to think and contemplate what I'm going to do for the afternoon. And then in that afternoon and evening, I just knock it out. And so this is where planning out your day really helps. And lastly, rest is really important. The tips that I suggested works well when you're well rested and ready to go. An optimized day is nothing without the humans supporting it. Being tired and sluggish will decrease your productivity and you won't be able to do whatever you need to do during that time. If I'm feeling tired or sluggish throughout that one day, I would use my buffer zones and take naps during that time. Usually I would have 1 or 2 hours of margin to allow me to sleep throughout the day. So that helps me to get me back on my feet to complete the rest of the tasks that I need to for that day. So those are my tips and suggestions on how to optimize your day. Whether or not you want to get more done during the day or you just want to have more time in the evening to relax, optimizing your day is a great way to accomplish that. I've personally used it to create more fun time for me during the weekends. I try to optimize my weekdays so that I get everything that I need to do for the week during those 5 days. All the tips shown are from trial and error from the last decade of my life. My biggest takeaway is to plan out your days and have buffer zones within that day. And note that these are not hard and fast rules. These are just merely guidelines. Every person can optimize their day a little differently, so see what works best for you. So, in the end, an optimized day's success is determined by how much you're able to complete from your task list the day before. So, thank you for watching. Be sure to leave me a comment down below on how you would optimize your day and what would you do with all that free time. And I'll see you next time.